Hello and welcome. So we're going to take a flight from Auckland International Airport to Wellington International Airport in New Zealand. This is not a tutorial and I will talk quite quickly, but I will explain what I'm doing as I go. This flight is going to be done in nighttime and we're also using live weather. So let's get started. We'll jump in the cockpit. We'll turn on the flashlight with left alt and L on the keyboard. And we're just going to turn on the beacon, the strobe and the nav light. We're going to go up to here, turn on the cabin emergency light, go over to here, turn on battery 1 and 2. Going over to the miscellaneous, turning on all of these. And then we're going down to here, anti-skid, yellow and green. And down to here, we're going to go onto the bus tyres, the 2 generators, and go down to here twice onto APU gen. Then we're going to go up to here, turn on the APU, and now we've got some more things to do. We've got over here, we're going to spin this around until we've got 25,000 feet. Looks pretty good. And then we're going to go over to here, just turn on ice detect, and close that. Going over to here, we're just going to click on yaw damper, and a little switch down here, we're just going to flip around until it's on TA. I can remove that, and you can see it's on TA. Just going to turn on all 4 of these. Now, if you want to do it the correct way, don't fall and do all 4 at once, but I'm just trying to do this really quickly. So now I've done all that, we are going to turn on our pumps, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're just going to go over to here, and we're going to click on for the engine anti-ice, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go up to here. I'm just going to change this to 4, turn on the start master and click on start. So that will get that going. Then we can get this ready to go. So over here, we're just going to set this up. Index, we're going to click on next. I'm going to click on the route menu. I'm going to click on flight plan recall. We'll wait a couple of seconds and then we're done and loaded. I'm going to click on next. I'm going to click on next and next. Got one discontinuity. Click here and click there. Click execute and we're all done. How easy is that? This is all set up. So now we've got all that started, we're just going to go back up to here and get ready for the next engine. We're waiting for these 3 lights to go out. We can check if it's working. If we look over here, we can see it spinning around. And that one's not spinning around. We'll give it just a moment for that. There we go. And we'll change it to 2. And then we'll click on start. And then we'll just go over to here because there's a few things attached to the plane on the outside which I need to remove. I'm just going to turn this on. I really want to get rid of this throttle, so that's gone. And we'll just wait for this to bring me up the information that I'm looking for. I want to get rid of the chocks. Do we have stairs attached to this plane? There's no stairs, just a ground power. Oh, okay. So they're just scenery, I suppose, and the plane happens to be here. Not so bad. So what we'll do is we'll try and get the pushback happening. I'm just going to undo the parking brake. I'm going to gently click on this button and then click on manual pushback and reverse, and the plane will start going backwards. That's cool. I'm going to go back up to here and hopefully we're ready for the next engine pretty soon. No, we'll go back over to here. I'm just going to change my fuel load to something more reasonable, like 1600. That looks good. Change this one. And we've got 1600 pretty much on both sides. We can definitely go over to here now and start the next engine. I'm going to change it to 2 and click start. Check where we are. Can't see a lot, but we've got little dots here which we can follow, which should lead over towards the runway. So we'll try and do that. Okay, so now we're back in the plane. We can go back up to here and just have a look at this. It's not ready yet. I can go down to here though, and I can click on power. I can click on takeoff. I can go over to here. I can click on this CG button, and then I can go back over to here and click on this whiteboard. So that's all done now. Let's have a look at how we're going with the reverse. You can see he's caught up to us. We'll push back somewhere to here. We'll see how that engine starts going on. It's ready for the last engine. We can click start there. And we can do the rest of the steps. So what we can do is we can go down to here. And we can turn off all the anti-ice for the engine. We can go over to here, we can turn on Gen 1 and we can do Gen 4, and we can also go up to here and do engine pump 2 and engine pump 3. I just want to cancel this guy so he doesn't push us back forever, so I'm going to click on this and click stop pushback, and he should go away for now. Then I'm just going to go over to here. I will change it to landing later, but I'm just going to change it to taxi and taxi just for the moment. Flight deck emergency lights, just turning that on. We can put on the fasten seatbelt sign, and over to here, if we can bring up the information, we can have a look at what else they have got for us. They've got seats for takeoff, so we can do that as well. You could click the cabin button up here when you're ready, cabin call. That would be the other option. So we're just going to go up to here and AP Air and packs 1 and 2. So we've also got to turn on the auto fan lights, so we've got to turn that on. And we can go down to here and we're just going to turn on and PTU to on. Ice protection we can do, so if we go down to here, we're just going to turn on all of these, just all of them, and that's done as well. Now we can change our flaps to 18, so we're just going to click that down, and that's the flaps down to 18. Plane's not moving, which is great. Taxi lights are on, and we can click that call button. But that's pretty much the cold and dark start complete. Is that pretty good for night time? So now we're going to take a right and go around here, and we'll see how we go. Just give it a little bit of a bump, turn off our flashlight. In fact, we can't turn off that flashlight. We've got a whole heap of lights we should turn on first. So we're going to turn on this one, turn on that one, turn on that one. Go over to here. If you've not used it at night time, there's a heap of lights, but it's not very long to turn them all on. Turn on this one, turn on this one. There is 2 switches here that you can push if you want. And then turn on this, you can turn on this, which will do a little bit of light down here. And then over here, it looks really strange when there's no light on over here. So we're just going to turn on this one, this one. We can turn on this and this just a little bit, and we can turn on these. The still light's probably not a great idea because it can sort of blind you. So it's still light here, as you can see. So what we're going to do is just going to click that one again so it doesn't stay on. That's mostly it for that side. We should be able to now begin to look at the roof. We're going to turn around this one, we're going to turn around that one, and there's this one over here. This panel turns on this light through here. Okay, so if you get this, spin it around, and then you've got that on. So that's all done. I can turn off the flashlight, and we're looking pretty good. Alright, so we're ready to go. What we'll do is we will begin our little taxi. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of throttle, and the plane should start moving. I want to turn this on though, because I want to change this to 25,000 feet, and we'll try and taxi to the right while we're doing so. It's close to 25. Okay. There's the dots. And we can see a bit of a taxi there. Great. So we'll head in that direction. I want to change this number to 160. 160. Just gonna have a look outside so I know what's going on. Got a zoomed in view here. Gonna click on the on button. Need to change this to on and hold this button switch to get it back. Comes back. Have a little look outside. Keep taxiing around this way. We haven't got any ATC that we have to deal with on this flight, so that's kind of good. We're just doing it at night to make it a little bit harder. We will also do the same flight in the day. I do enjoy nighttime a lot more. It's a lot more fun. And we'll just change it so that the reserve has also got the same, just in case we accidentally tap it. It's ready to go. So that's all set up. We're going to turn on the flight director and also on the other one, flight director, so they're all set up as well. We can turn off our flashlight, and we're just heading over towards our runway. We seem to be pretty straight here, which is good. Have a last little look down here. One thing, when they're doing the whole cabin get ready, you can notice you've got this here. Whoops, that switch, you've got it on takeoff, so that's good. All of that's ready, spoilers up, flaps are just down to 18. Now we could turn right here, but I don't know if that's the best option. We'll keep going straight, and then I think we can take the second right. So we'll turn right here-ish. And then we'll head up that way. And we can start making a little bit more assessment on what else we need to do and set up. So we'll taxi over this way. Well, now I'm not using the actual rudder pedals. I'm using the controller at the moment, and sometimes it just locks into position. So we're just going to do a loop here, and it should let me release at the end of this. Yep, it has. And then we'll head off up this way. Now some things, if you need light at night time and you don't know what to do, you can click this. Or you've also got another button up there that you can click. But we'll just use that one for now, especially considering it's night time. You've also got this in emergency, if you need to click it, to give you some lights. You can hit this to on, and that will give you some light really, really quickly. So you've got a couple of options there. I'm going to change this to landing lights now. Not sure if it's still, yeah, it still gives us a little bit of light, so that's okay. Just getting ourselves ready for what we're going to have to do in just a moment. Go back up to here, and we'll turn off that crazy entry light. We've got our fuel down here. Our objective is just to get from one airport to another. That's the objective of this flight. We'll click this. Just stop here if I can and have a little think about what we need to do. So we've got just a warning which talks about electrics. If we can have a look up here, we've got our engines. So we're going to swap this back to 0, which I can't even see, which will explain why I'm not doing anything. So it's on 0, and turn that to off, and then you'll notice it's gone. Okay, so that's that. We're pretty clean and we're ready to start. We can just have this on battery 1 and this on gen, just so it gets doing something. We've got no central tank, so we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, that's mostly okay. We've got this on to DC pump, PTU is on. That's all okay. So we'll just get this turned off. Get ourselves moving towards the runway. Now normally I would visually look to see if anyone's landing, and I can't see anyone. If there was someone, of course, we'd stop. But it's a little hard to see at night. So that should be the runway. And we've got ourselves in landing config already. So we should get all the call outs. If you're not getting the call outs, just make sure you got the landing lights switched to on. It's not on taxi, you need it on landing lights. So we'll just go around to here, and then we're just going to stop and pause for a moment. Great, so all we need to do now is just forward the throttle. Once we have got some stabilization, we'll then forward the rest of the way. These 4 blue lights will go out, and then we'll begin to take off. I just want to change this heading switch here. So we're just going to change the heading so that it's sort of pointing in the direction that we are going at the moment. So that's the general direction where we're going at the moment. The rest of it's not too important for me to set up. This, I could probably click that button just next to it, so for 25,000. But other than that, we're all good to go. So, okay. We'll release the throttle and start pushing it forward. Keep advancing it. Just give it a bit of a zoom in so you can see what's going on. We're looking for these blue lights to go out. So I'm just advancing the throttle. Should go out around about now. There you go, it's gone. I'll just hold the throttle there. And off we go.
Power set, flaps achieved. Speed alive, both sides.
Just keep an eye on my speed.
Source checked. V1. Rotate.
And off we go. Gear up. We can look out the window and we can say goodbye to Auckland International Airport. So now we're just going to click on heading mode and we're going to turn on to the autopilot. Just have a little look at what it's accelerating at, but what I'm going to do is click on VS, just so it keeps at that for the moment. It's going up to about 118, 119. We're just looking at our altitude. Have a little look at our outside view. There's the runway. Okay, so we're at about 1500, 1600 at the moment. I just want to make sure that we got our autopilot, and then we click on this button here for RNAV, and then click on LNAV, and then what we're going to do is we're going to click on this IAS. In fact, we don't. We'll just click on the altitude hold mode for the moment. We'll let the speed build up. It's just spinning around towards the direction that we need to head. Wonderful. Then I'm going to click indicate airspeed. It should start to go up and it'll take us all the way up towards that 25,000. We should notice it's climbing now. And we'll climb it around about that 250. It's about as fast as we can go at the moment. We're only at 2,000. So that's all pretty good. Autopilot's on, indicated airspeed, and it's following the little navigation computer down here. We know it's got the right one because you can see the number, 6.2, 6.1. That should match this number. So if they're matching, it's a good sign that it's following the right one. So 4,000, doing about 240. It's about as quick as we can go. Flaps are up, and I'm not touching really too much at the moment. Pretty safe until we get up all the way to 10,000 or so. We'll just let it climb now, 25,000. We can turn this on. We didn't get around to doing that. If you don't know, there is a test page mode. Just switch it all the way and you get this wonderful colour. But we will leave it on this mode down here. Flaps are up, spoilers are up. This is all armed and ready. Sometimes it's cool just to turn this light off, just so it's a little bit darker. I think it looks cool like that. But yeah, if you ever need the light, just turn that on there and you got light again. Of course, you can always hit the left alt and L if there's something you particularly need to see. We'll let them loose in the plane, so we'll hit fasten belts off, and we'll go over to here, and we'll just click on release crew. I'm not sure if you can additionally hit this button. We'll try. So there, it seems to be doing the same role as that just at the moment. Of course, we've got no passengers because we've just got cargo, so it's really a cargo plane. So we can have a little look up here, and we can click on the map and give us a bit of an idea of our flight today. So we're taking off from Auckland International Airport, and we're travelling down here-ish towards Wellington. So down to the south, it's just off the map at the moment. 252, and we're at 10,000, so we're allowed to go over 250 now, and that's great, which is what we're doing. And we'll bring us all the way up to 25, and then we'll start settling it back. Take a stall step away, and then we'll come back. So we're back, and we can see we're done about 14,000 feet at this point in the flight. Certainly flying at night time is not so great for YouTube, but I really do enjoy flying at this time of day. $266, which is fine. Flap indicator. We can change this to maybe -20. By the time we get up there, it'll be about that. I haven't set this to either. It's not too important because you've got this radar. So you just don't rely on this to be completely accurate. When you're getting close to the ground, you'll start to use this instead. Which is very cool. Makes the whole experience really good. Now, at this point in the flight, you could start doing things like turning off the APU. But we're going to leave it on in this flight. Just trying to get from one airport to another. We have no fuel in the fuel central tank, so we don't have to worry about that. Weather seems to be pretty clear, but we'll see how we go when we get there. Can read everything really well. They fixed this. If you haven't got the latest update, make sure you do. Brake fans are on. If you do use ground power and you're wondering what's going on or what you do, just attach the ground power unit and then just turn this to on. And that's basically using that. That is my understanding, at least at this stage. So just getting blinded by this, but you've got these cool lights down here, but there's nothing up here like showing this. Just don't need the backlight. So sometimes it's a little hard to tell where to put the mouse cursor to click on something. You can just sort of see the shadow, but it's a little bit hard. Sometimes I'm needing to do that just to see what's going on. And then if I do that, I really can't tell if this is pushed in or what's going on. Like, yeah, it's quite hard to tell. So we're just going to make sure though that that is armed, because otherwise this thing is going to go roaring past 25,000. So yeah, I'll just click that. This will change from IAS to altitude hold mode. Just turn this off. Doing 284, and then we can settle the throttle back just a little bit. We'll change some of the settings over here as well. You can see the temperature. The fuel on the plane. And this is where we're travelling at the moment. Or how we're travelling. We'll cross over the water just as we get down to here. So we'll start going over the water, but we've got a little bit of travel at the moment. Certainly just by going the flat. Just have a little look at our aircraft page. So we've got a seats for landing option. But again, we've got cargo, so we don't have to worry about too much on this flight. Click on map. We'll leave that up for now. Some people were saying that they were losing FPS when they went above a certain altitude. I haven't had any particular problem with that. I was able to keep it pretty stable for a couple of hours. So it's just beeping to let us know we're going to 25,000 and it's going to level off. There's nothing too urgent. But that's what it's doing. Just keep an eye on it and make sure that it flips over to altitude hold mode and then start watching the speed. So it's on altitude hold mode, it will hover now at around 25,000. And then we'll start to see the speed really climb up because it's going to be sitting on altitude hold mode. So what we'll do is we'll go over to here, we're just going to click on target. And then I'm just going to click on sync and change it to N2. Still at -20 because that's basically what it is. -20 was in fact almost -30, but yeah, that's alright just for the moment. It's got a ground speed of 300. We'll see how steady it can hold at 25,000. It's running really, really well at the moment. We are using live weather. So often with live weather you'll notice the ground speed will jump around a little bit more, but I've got no warnings down here, all clear, so no problems there. This is for the engine vibration, so the engine's not vibrating at the moment, so that's all good. If you want to swap to this VHF, I believe you hit the on-off button that's down here, but we'll just leave that at the moment. We're on altitude hold mode and following the guidance. So we'll keep that 25,000 feet. We just got to keep an eye on this. We can probably move ourselves forward a little bit just so we can see that a little bit better. It's not really until we get towards our destination where I can get a better idea of where I need the viewpoint to sit. It's a fairly short flight. If we had a really long flight, we'd turn off the APUs and stuff. We did release the crew, whatever crew there is. I don't know about our landing lights, are they still on? Because they can definitely come off. And they're off now. Quite definitely something we could do. So 53.4, and the number is coming down. $52. Nothing to really alert ourselves to at the moment. Just sitting on 307, also pretty stable. We can let that climb without too much trouble. You can see the map over here. So yeah, quite a few different lights on the plane. This little sill one's cool, but it doesn't really seem to put much light on the dashboard or anything. You might be able to turn down them slightly. Would better. Sitting on 312. We're at around just over an hour flight for today. So we'll keep an eye on what we're doing. But it looks really cool at night. Can't see much outside, but there's a land should be in that direction. Off to our left wing. Just going to check this button once again, just have a little look, because I can't tell what is going on with this button. That's definitely out, that's definitely in. And I hold down that button there. It comes back, so 110.3. Just keep in mind you can't click the autopilot button up here, so maybe set it to something on your joystick or throttle or wherever you want, but you need to turn it on and off with this button down here. You can set it to something else though, so you don't have to look down here all the time. But yeah, this will also switch over once we're sort of coming towards the landing. We'll let the cabin crew know. It's as dark as we can get it without having it off. You've got down here the radios, so you could turn this on if you wanted. That's your radios, and then down here you've got your ADF. So that's your radio and ADF. So far this seems to be working. $110.3. I'm just traveling along at 25,000 feet. Got a runway course of about 160.7, I believe, but 160 will do for the moment. We might be able to change this heading just to spin it around now to something that's the current direction that we're traveling. So I'm just going to change this in the general direction just in case we need to use it for some reason. It's not so crazy out. $31.5, that number's coming down, of course. So at some point we will flick the switch, change it to nav mode, and then we can click on VL mode, and then once we see glide slope coming down reasonably with us, we can then click glide slope. We're a little away from that at the moment. Have a little look outside. You know, the wings are on the lights there, so that'll be the back of the plane. And then over here, this will be the wing. We can sort of get an idea of the elevation by looking up and down. Just staying at 321. I haven't touched the actual throttle in quite a while, and it's not really a problem. I could slow it down, but we need to speed up anyway, so. Flaps are in, all spoilers are in. I haven't had too much trouble slowing this plane down. It's certainly got the tools to do the job, but you will be using your air brake. As a general rule, don't extend the flaps or the gear above about 200. There is some information about it over here, but it's a bit hard to see at night. I don't think we'll see it at all. Get rid of this. Here we go. Still really hard to see because of the night time, but it mentions gear 205, so there you go. We'll just bring this back and get rid of our flashlight. Awesome little plane and module. Seems quite capable. Certainly on the flights that it can do. .3. Just watching the numbers, 330. This is when you want to have a little bit of a live ATC going on, just to make it a little more realistic while you're up here. Cruising along nicely. 11.2. Of course, you would normally be censoring your transporter code and stuff like that, but we haven't done that on this flight. Brake temperatures, of course, are down there. Everything makes sense. It's there for a reason. It's useful. There are some things I'm not totally sure about, like if you go up here, you've got this TURB mode, obviously for turbulence, but I don't really know where or how you would use this button. So there's things like that that we still need to understand. We'll see how we go on this little flight. I haven't done many full flight videos, but this is probably my most fun way of playing the game. To play at night and then just use the instruments to get yourself from one location to another. The game has wonderful graphics, but you know, I don't see a lot of it at night. So we're over here at the moment. Once we go down to Wellington though, we'll start to see the lights of the city and it will look pretty cool then. Also, we're hoping that we can see the runway lit up. Only at 25,000 feet, so it's not going to be very hard to descend. What we can do though, is we can set this now to where we perhaps were thinking about going to descend to. So I might make this 3,000. And I'll leave it at that. I won't arm it just at the moment because we're certainly not ready to descend. But we'll just change the number. Does limit what I can look at in the plane because obviously it's just the things that are lit up that we can see at the moment. Back here we can't see very much. If this light is annoying, you can always go down to here. I'll just put on my flashlight so I can see what I'm doing. If I can put on my flashlight. Here we go. And we'll turn on that one. Turn on that one. Turn on that one. Up to the top here on. Turn that one on. And turn this one all the way on. And we should be okay to turn off. We can turn on the footlight, our flashlight, and we're pretty much back to normal again. So that's all the lights that are available. And we're just turning off the seat and the silver light. You could have just clicked the buttons, but I'm just going through them all. So here we are, heading down towards Wellington. We're maybe around about halfway now. Click our aircraft. Bringing all that cargo with us down to Wellington. Just keep an eye on this. So this 42 bleeds out, then we'll start to come down. And then things are going to happen quite quickly from that sort of point onwards. So we'll just let this 40 disappear and then we'll begin the descent. We've got about 50 there to work with. Without too much trouble. That will be enough for us to get down. And descend. Biggest thing is just watching the speed and your best utility you have available to try and contend with that is your spoiler, your air brake. So this whole flight, I haven't really touched the throttle, you know, and we haven't really gone crazy with the speed. It's quite stable. We're just sitting on this. I could make it perfectly stable if I really needed to. But yeah. We'll click descent at some point. We will be able to change this to a positive. I might make it a number like 10 will do. $32, just coming away there. Another thing that I'm not too sure about is down here we've got this little switch. So you can flick it over to go, but I don't really know what it's doing, whether it's turning this little internal number or not. So yeah, just another thing. It spins around though, but it doesn't seem to impact the actual main clock. So there's the smaller ones which are a bit hard to see because they're hidden behind. Which further adds to the difficulty. But I presume it's a timer in the background. $25 miles. Sitting at 340 at 25,000 feet. Flaps up, spoiler up. It's really doing quite well. For a little module, it's doing well because it's a lot of fun. So we've got a cabin altitude here, which we set a little bit earlier. We will begin to get things like that sorted, so we'll be getting ready for our descent as we come closer towards Wellington. Not quite out above the ocean yet, but we'll be able to change that altitude to something lower, but we're going to be descending to. $15. Just looking at this down here, so as we're getting towards the end of this, we will begin our descent very, very gently, and then we'll start sort of speeding it up. About 12. So we'll get ready. We're just going to go over to here. And we're going to get our crew ready. So we're going to click on fasten seatbelt sign. Just turn on this so I can see this switch. And I'm just changing this back down. We will begin this descent quite soon now. Before we lose all cabin pressure. So we're going to go over to here. We're going to click on descent. And then we're going to go up to here, click on VS mode. Going to click on sync mode. You can see sync mode comes up here with the white. I'm just going to push the nose down just a little bit. We're also going to bring that throttle back quite a lot. So here we go, we're going to push that throttle nose down. You can see this number, we'll hold it around there, sync mode. It should hover around there. We can see that altitude's now starting to come down. Just check that we've still got autopilot, we've got VS mode and still on LNAV mode. This is all set up, ready to go. Our heading is there in emergency. Just keep adjusting that heading just to make sure it's sort of useful to us. And we can see we're coming down to 2.1, so it's going to swap any moment now. And we've already begun the process of descending. Probably could have a little look at this. But we are coming down. So the big thing we need to manage of this descent is just the speed, because as we get down towards 10,000, We need to know we've got the plane down to about 200. Keeping an eye on this. Not putting any flaps out, no brakes down. No gears down. You can use the air brake. $20.5. And we're just in descent mode over here. Change the temperature, of course. I'm a long way from that temperature just at the moment. Warning light up here. You can click it if you want to have fun and suddenly think you're a problem. So we're down to 20, and we're already doing 250 almost. We can bleed off that last 10 pretty easily. We've got 10,000 to drop before then. $19,000, $18,000. I don't know if there's a handle here. No, seems to be gone. This one's still here. We'll get rid of that one. Here's a map. So we're starting to do the crossing over the water now. We would be over halfway. Coming down here, we're going to go all the way down to 3,000. Just put on that altitude alarm, which I said I wouldn't do before, but I will do that now. So they'll settle at one point and it will go over to alt. We just need to manage the speed. Which we seem to be able to do fairly okay at the moment. Still keeping on the LNAV and make sure that that green light is on so the autopilot is actually active, otherwise we ain't following that LNAV. We've made sure that this is turned on. We should be having a ILS today of 110.3. There is no threats in terms of big mountains or anything like that. That should be in between us, so we should be okay. There's a little bit of high terrain, but we can clear that. $244, so we're already where we need to be. And that clears that 20. So we've got the next 20 to go, and then things are going to start moving much quicker. 27.2. And another 5,000 or so. We could keep adjusting that heading. To make a minor modification. 26.9, 26.8. So we wanted to be under 250 by 10, we're doing 235. Still got a fuel happening. We're out over the ocean now. We should see off our left wing. There we go. There's something out there, some lights. But not very much. It's just far distance. Some wonderful graphics, of course, in this game. But when you're flying at night, you're seeing a lot less of them. By far, though, this would be my favourite way of playing and interacting with the game. $12,000, and then we're doing 233. Of course, it'll keep descending past that, and we'll keep dropping that ground speed a little bit. You can tell the airspeed brakes are out by looking up here. A little white light. $10,600, and we're doing 228 just at the moment. Might get down to 225. So we're now under 10. I'm just doing 220. Don't have too much need to go too much slower at the moment. $213, 9,000, and it should bring us all the way down to 3. We just want to keep monitoring it. Make sure we've got that armed. We've got the autopilot armed, VS, LNAV armed. We haven't got any flaps out still. We're in descent mode. I won't be changing it unless I have to. I've just got that temperature there sitting at 10 degrees. We can see the temperature's now starting to come up towards the 10. can see that spoiler all the way out. It's working hard at the moment as we're descending. The air brake. When you're looking it up under the control options, obviously you're looking for spoilers or air brakes. You can see our view here, so we're now quite close towards our destination, which is good because we're definitely sort of on track to be where we have to be. Just have a little look down here now. So we've got about 7. We definitely want to be much closer to where we want to be by that 3,000 marker down there. Things will start to move quickly, and when we get up to GoPro, we'll start to actually have a signal from the 110.3 as well. So we'll stay on it as long as we can, and then we'll change. 6,000. $5,000. I'll let the speed go up just slightly because I know it will settle once we get to 3. See if we can see any lights outside. Not a lot. It's pretty dark outside. Even if I push the space bar. The lights out that way. Coming into 4,000, and that's just finishing that now, so that's really good. It's got the Ducati. We don't have a long one this step. It's just beeping to let us know we're coming up to 3,000. And then it'll settle. And then we actually won't see this speed keep climbing. Just keep an eye on this. It's armed. VS will change to alt mode. And then we'll just start to see that speed plummet. We're already starting to see it now as it starts coming up. And then just under 200 we're going to start to bring flaps out. Things like this. I think they will report back to us, I'm not sure. There you go, cabin secured for the landing. So I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle now. I'm going to bring those spoilers right up, and we're going to drop the flaps, just the first step. We're under 200. And we can see the flaps here. I can tell how high I'm looking because I'm looking at this dashboard. I know roughly where I am. Okay, now we can start to see some lights, so that's good. In the distance. We don't want to sit too high, we want to see so we can see what's in front of us. Just got to the first step. We'll keep it around that 160 if we can at the moment. We'll have a look at down here. It should swap to GoPro. And then we've got that little distance there. We'll see it swap over in a few moments. There we go, it'll change direction. So we won't need this for too much more. We can see Wellington's ahead of us now. I'll just have a last look at this screen. All it has is disarm doors as an option. So we've got 1,000 and 1,000 fuel. Just to help us get on the ground, but we do want to land at this point. So we'll just close that. Just want to make sure that we've got this landing light set up. So we're just going to swap this up to landing lights, so both of those are up. And that's ready. Turn that off. Keep an eye on what we're doing here. Keep bringing those flaps out. We've got a little bit of distance, so we're doing this quite early. This gets to about 8 knots, and we can definitely start looking at the last steps. Because then the next step is going to be we have to be at 3,000 for Whitby, and then it will just make a small turn towards 160, and then we're pretty much on line for the runway. We should see someone in front of us. We're just sitting out of that 3,000. Just keep checking that you've got your autopilot on, alt mode on, LNAV. Autopilot over here. But that's 17, it says. Yep, 17 on the GoPro still. By about that 10 mark, we can, so 5 more, and we'll begin to do the last steps. Got absolutely no spoilers out, just using the flaps at the moment. We don't even have the gear down yet, so we're slow enough to bring the gear out. No worries there. Only real problem we have is we're not super flying efficiently at the moment. If I can, I just want to see if I can turn this down slightly. It's a little bit better. Signal 150. I'll try to land it with the stick on my throttle. Hopefully we don't have any lockups and we'll be good. So we're coming towards that 10 marker which I was mentioning just before. And we'll drop these last stages at that point. and then let the plane settle. Once it pulls the glide slope, that last step sort of starts becoming a little bit harder. You can begin to use your spoilers to slow down. So we're just sort of preparing for that. We've got 9.9. I do wonder. It's just waiting for gear. Some pretty cool lighting out there. So I got 5.9. It's going to bring my view forward. 5.6. .7, so we're just going to check if the game doesn't go crazy. We've got 3 gears down, we're on full flaps. I'm just hovering around 145, 4.2 to go to the next checkpoint, and then it's going to really start happening rapidly. So we will swap over this. I'm pretty certain we've got a signal now. It's just I'm waiting for this to drop down so we can begin the turn for us. So as we get down towards this number here, I'm going to swap it manually. And we'll see if we've got that number to come up. Pretty cool lighting over there. I'll look at this view because this is what got our information what we wanted to see. I don't yet know what it is with the glide slope until we swap it over, so we're on 2.3 at the moment. .1, and then it will turn. So we can pretty much let it turn it, or we can go and swap over and let the 110.3 get its signal. So let's turn it, we'll have a little look. We've got a signal, it's 12.6. We're going to click on VL. It's going to turn us towards. We can see the glide slope here. So we're just a little bit below the glide slope. Glide slope's coming down towards us, and we can see the runway. So we're just going to try and capture this glide slope as it comes down. We've got the glide slope, and we've got the we're on autopilot. So now the last step really are just for us. Yeah, it's captured it. So now we just need to disable the autopilot when we're ready. We'll keep an eye on our speed. This is where I said we're going to start to need to look at our speed. Got our view out there. Leave the view around here. I'm just going to click on this. So we're not looking at this here, we're looking at this down here now. The digital radar meter. Runway's over here. Just trying to put the information that I want on the screen. We'll see our PAPI lights and 2 reds and 2 whites hopefully very soon. Yeah, it's definitely down. We can see the 3 greens and we can also see it in external view. We can see the lights now. It looks like it's 2 white, 2 red. In a few moments we could probably turn the autopilot off if we wanted to and have flight in, but we're going to take it in as much as we can just to show how the ILS is working and how steady it is. We're pretty lucky, we've got a pretty good view of the runway at the moment. And we can see we've got 2 red, 2 white. We can zoom in a little bit.
500.
To this point we can pretty much disable the autopilot. It's done its job.
Autopilot disconnected. 80 knots. 60 knots.
And welcome to Wellington. Stop here for a brief moment. And then we can proceed. Obviously, normally you talk to ATC and go, "Hi guys, how's it going?" We are going to bring our spoilers up, bring up our flaps. I didn't use the rudder pedals then. Obviously, it's a little bit easier if you're using rudder pedals. But I'm able to use the throttle. So I've been experimenting with this just in the last few flights and it's going pretty well, so safely on the ground. A little bit more difficult at night time, certainly, because you can't sort of judge distances and your line up. Really cool airport, this one. This is the Wellington International Airport. There's some unique aspects to this airport. I'll put links to the scenery obviously in the description of the video. So what we can do is we can go up here and we can change this now to taxi and that one's a taxi. Not really as helpful, but I think we can turn right here and then maybe look at somewhere we can park. Keep looking and see if we can find a parking spot. Maybe we can park over there. Terminal building there in front of us. And if we turn hard left here, I think we can park it in there. Otherwise you could park here, but there's a small light plane there, so no. Follow this yellow line here just on our right. See how we're lined up? We've got it on the line. And we'll put it somewhere between that 737 and the A320 there. Looks okay. Put our parking brake on, and then we're going to show you one of the quickest cold and dark start endings ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to here. Click on disarm doors. And then I'm going to open the passenger door. We can open up the cargo. We can turn off the fasten seatbelt sign. We can click the cabin call button. And then we can bring up our menu and see if we can talk to our ATC friends. If we're lucky, they will give us a chance to get a jetway connection. And we will turn off those lights in a moment. It just looks cool with the lights on. So over it comes. And that's connected. So that's awesome. So we're going to switch off this and then that one. I'm going to put on my flashlight so I can see what the hell I'm doing. We're going to go up to here as a very quick shutdown. I'm going to click on this switch. I'm going to go over to here, turn off APU. I'm going to go down to here and turn off all 4 of these engines. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then I'm going to go up to here and we've got 2 lights for the battery, 1 and 2. And then we turn off a flashlight. And how easy is that? That's a very quick shutdown in the plane. We've got that lovely glow coming from outside. We've got the airport over there, which we can see inside too, and we're safely on the ground. We have this connected, and we can get off the plane. We've got all the cargo doors open, so they're sorted. We can put on the chocks, and we can shut that down. So thank you for joining me on the flight from Auckland International Airport to Wellington International Airport. They can unload the cargo and we're safely back on the ground. Awesome little module, this plane. Definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun to fly and it's a really capable little plane. Have a great day.